It's that time of the week, my friend. I hesitate to do anything too Yep, that's me. Just a completely normal dude. Last Friday on stream, I covered the SuperMega allegations, and I realized if we're gonna upload a video of this, I would need to refine the information quite a bit, because, my streams have a lot of, I'm ready, you. Good, because you deserve it. You know what I mean? You can't do that. I did not murder my wife. And I keep saying the dumbest shit! Fuck! And this is a serious situation, so this is what happened. A few days ago, Lex Updog, a model and artist who has worked with SuperMega, uploaded a 2-hour and 16-minute long video where she makes a number of allegations. The first set of allegations are against an artist whom she dated who was also working with SuperMega as their thumbnail artist. His name is DonDRRR. The prime allegation is the following. In November of 2021, I was sexually assaulted by Don on the first night that we had met while dating, right? We were both staying at Matt Watson's house. He attempted to physically force me to give him oral sex, and the only reason it didn't happen was because I was forced to physically resist him when he didn't listen to my verbal commands to stop.
When I was at Matt's house, I think it was just Matt at this point. Don sexually assaulted me. He physically was forcing me, attempting to physically force me to give him oral. And the only reason why it didn't work was because I physically pushed him away multiple times. When you're in a long distance relationship with someone, you have to get to know someone. I feel like I'm a pretty direct person, and aside from what this situation is turned me into, I guess, but I feel like when this happened, I was especially this particular situation, I was no, I don't want to do this. And he kept telling me just do it, and multiple times while he was trying to force my head down, and he's way bigger than me. I don't know, I was really freaked out after that. So eventually he let me go, but I just kind of shut down and just went with whatever else he wanted that night, and for the rest of the trip.
She then outlines the reason why she didn't contact the police after this.
I didn't know what to do in that situation. Calling the cops is what someone would say, right? But it's a guy from Germany. How is that gonna work? I know that they can go to jail, but actually getting someone in trouble would just be a whole thing. I didn't want to deal with that, and it was at my friend's house, and I was scared that somebody may have would find his address or something if I called. I don't know. All these were just thoughts after too, because in the moment I was just I kind of just shut down. I was freaked out. I remember after I went with the other stuff he wanted to do, he choked me on my windpipe. He was trying to choke me in a sexy way, but he was choking me, and I was breathing very audibly, not well. And I think at this point I was too scared to say anything, and I didn't think he would listen because he just didn't before. So at that point, it was just easier to do whatever else he wanted instead of go through that again.
She then goes on to talk about, vent, and divulge more details about her relationship with Don. She basically paints a picture of Don as a guy who sexually fetishized her, was a neglectful boyfriend, and a creep, essentially. With her specifically saying he had issues talking one-on-one with her, that he had an original character he would draw that she thought was inspired by her, and that even after they stopped dating, he subscribed to her Not Safe for Work Patreon, and even after unsubscribing, asked her directly for her, exclusive nudes, which she complied with. She also mentions that Don was constantly asking the SuperMega guys to provide a work visa so that he could stay and work in the US, and that Matt Watson commented that they should get married, which resulted in Don suddenly being extra affectionate toward her. Over the next couple months, they continued dating and talking on Discord until the next time that they met up in person, which was at Creator Clash in May of 2022, at which point Lex decided to break up with Don and tell him the reason she was breaking up with him was because of the alleged assault. I waited to confront Don until Creator Clash 2022, where I could keep it offline and then never see him again. Now, Don's response to this has been the following. Lex and I were invited over by Matt to stay over at his place for a week. We had been intimate since day one, but on the third night I asked her for oral sex. She at first said no because she had a cold sore. Later I asked her again and she said yes, but to be careful not to be too rough. During the intimate act, I had pushed down her head, after which she recoiled and told me that I was being too rough. I then profusely apologized, and we ended up watching TV and going to bed after. Things were normal for the rest of the week until the trip was over, and we went back home. During this time, I was under no impression that anything traumatizing had occurred. However, I realized now this was extremely upsetting for her. Now, how this relates to SuperMega is that after Creator Clash, Matt Watson offered to allow her to stay at the SuperMega office. But then Don was invited to Matt's house in LA right before I moved to LA to stay in the house that they use as an office. I called them before I got there to tell them what happened so I could avoid being around Don, but they gave me mixed messages. Ryan, one of support, and 2 days later, Matt, a phone call where he went into lawyer mode and promptly explained to me that technically Don isn't an employee, so we don't have to do anything. How SuperMega is his magnum opus, and how this would be very bad for them if anyone found out.
Matt told me after the magnum opus thing, well, we'll make sure that you don't not get invited places because he's in town. Like, if we're like all doing something and he's in town, like, you'll definitely still get invited. Like, we'll still definitely invite you. And he was like, would it still bother you if we like still worked with him? And I started like being like, I don't know. That's not really my decision. I can't really tell you that because that's not what I was calling for it. He's an online Twitter artist. I would see him regardless. It's not about that. It's about me not seeing him in person so I can like relax.
Days later, they talked to Don privately at Matt's house, where they proceeded to explain to try and get his side of his story. Left the conversation with Don saying he didn't know what he did wrong. And Matt and Ryan decided for me that Don and I just need to talk things out in person. What transpired was, to put it lightly, a mess.
Matt had known since, or at least I told him, May 25th that I would be in town on the 14th. On the 13th at 9 p.m., he messages me this. Hey, can't wait to see ya. Just an update, Don is staying at the office with Rav right now. I did not know what the fuck to say, so all I could say is, what should I do? Oh, whatever you want. I was just updating you where Don was. My place is full at the moment, unfortunately. Texting me hours before I gotta be there that he just sent him to the place I'm staying at. He didn't have to do this. Found out he did this because he was tired of Don making a mess. Instead of sending him home and just having one difficult conversation with him, he decided to have Don stay at the office. I get there and I don't think Don is there, and then I hear him. I hide in the bathroom. Don came up to the bathroom to try and use it. And I was in there. I like hear him realize it's me. I'm sure he'd been told that I was gonna be there, but he says something twice. He's like, hello? He's like, anybody in there? And then all of a sudden he stops trying. And then he goes to the other bathroom. And then afterwards he got arrangements to leave very quickly. And I hadn't seen him since.
Don also says that he wasn't aware Lex would be showing up. So Matt kind of blindsided him as well.
He could have been like gone if you told him a date. You could have been like, go home by this date. He could have taken commissions or something, you know, free will. Matt could have done all that with Don and not had me see him. But instead he was doing stuff like posting Jim's cat sitting on Don just a few days before I get there. 6 days before I get there.
So that is the prime allegation against SuperMega. Basically that they didn't mediate the situation between Lex and Don in a professional or even empathetic, personal way. Now, what follows is a string of events, opinions, and kind of allegations toward the general character of the guys in SuperMega. During my time at the office, every action was held against us in silence until they felt appropriate to use them to kick us out, even though those things consisted of leaving to Tennessee while I visited my mom for her birthday, even though I bought a car, leaving town to work, Rav's partner having attempted to take their life soon after I arrived, and me being still disturbed by what happened with Don and the reaction to it. Those were all held against us, and they used it to gaslight us into being framed as lazy when we were working harder than normal to get the less work done due to having no place to work. Any action that wasn't looking for a place or going to see one was seen as bad when there was no sense of urgency placed upon us to begin with when we arrived. Staying at the office was uncomfortable as they did not want us to be there after this event, and we ended up homeless as a result of them icing us out and refusing to communicate to us, almost completely despite staying at their job. Even about crucial things like concerns about us living there or when they wanted us gone. Matt and Ryan instead delegated this responsibility to their employees, who we saw as friends, asking us to help them with chores around the house until they had them correspond in their stead about moving out. Upon which we realized what was going on and saw ourselves out before we got kicked out.
Someone's saying, I know you've dealt with a lot. Like they're saying they're only bringing it up as like we've dealt with you. Like Rav just was like, congrats about the bad thing that is good now. And when it gets brought up for us, it's about like, we've been helping you time and time again. And there's still grievances time and time again. It's only been one grievance. It was always the same grievance. It was the same thing that no one listened to me for. And when I tried to talk about it, no one wanted to talk about it. And now it's a problem. And I'm homeless, sitting in this creepy, weird sex trafficking room, getting told that, like, we're annoying, basically. That, like, we have too many grievances. I got assaulted, man. Could you guys just, like, care? Like, Why'd you switch up? What happened to keeping him accountable, Ryan? Like, this year's been nothing but drama since the jump. For you, I don't think they relate to anything bad that we've been through.
After this, we had no communication with them. We were robbed on the way out of and back from LA. We lost almost everything we had, and we couldn't get our belongings from the office while living in the car, and from hotel to hotel for a while because they weren't talking to us. I felt like I couldn't talk about what was going on with me for the past year because I had to explain things that Matt and Ryan clearly didn't want people to know. Now returning to the video, Lex claims that she viewed Matt as like a brother, but that after he revealed this information about Dawn, Matt became cold and businesslike, essentially viewing her as like a problem that needed to be, ignored or solved. She also makes a number of claims against Matt's character, saying that he's implying that he's kind of an alcoholic or like has a substance problem, using a time that she had to take care of him at a party after Creator Clash as an example.
With them. I posted a cute picture of us, but this is like how like half the pictures are. But like, there was...
Bro, Jesus Christ, this looks like a guy who's fucking taken some pretty bad head trauma, dude. That's hilarious.
Rav essentially become his like babysitters because he's like the drunkest guy there the whole night. Every time we go up to him and we're like, hey, you should stop, he looks at us dead in the eye and takes another drink. And it's like funny the first couple times, but then when he does it like 5 times in the same night, it's like freaky and you get worried for people's health. But we're like literally just trying to like keep him from like doing creep shit to people because we didn't know what the fuck he was gonna do.
That he's completely obsessed with maintaining SuperMega's brand image.
Said to me after I told him about his friend that sexually assaulted me, his friend and employee. He said, SuperMega's my magnum opus, and I would hate for something to mess it up. He said that multiple times. I remember...
SuperMega is my magnum opus. Please don't fuck this up. Please don't fuck this up, bro. That's hilarious. That Matt called his friend Daniel, who used to be a collaborator with him and Ryan, a coward for killing himself.
Daniel, their friend Daniel, Matt's like at least twice in front of me, separate times while hanging out with him, has called Daniel a coward. So no, they don't care about suicide. They don't give a shit about suicide. They only give a shit about themselves and who they can make jokes of that are under them that they can get away with.
And that he would lie about wanting to hang out with her as a formality and like a way to appease her and make her think everything was cool. I've been better, been trying to reevaluate a lot about my life and myself after the last 6 months, and it's been hard but overall positive. Would love to hang. So that's Matt saying that basically. Yeah, and then she says, let me know when you're free and we can hang and catch up.
He just kept saying would love to hang, and so we just kept saying it back and forth. He didn't mean it, but the AX...
So yeah, she's assuming he didn't mean it, which, in her circumstance, I could get why she would assume that, but like, again, she's about to make a claim that's like heavy. SuperMega
video I wasn't in I was replaced by the girl he cheated on his girlfriend of 4 years with. So not only did he cheat on his girlfriend and broke up with her, and then she found out after because Jim was living with the new girl. Well, she's still friends with Jim. He also takes a break with the new girlfriend he's with to basically solicit a sex worker girl that he was into to come live in LA and move from like across the US before he decided that he wanted to go back to the girlfriend that he was just with.
Like, she doesn't give any receipts for that at all. It's just, I guess, something that she found out. This kind of bleeds into a problem I have with her video, in that it is literally just her venting beyond the allegations. Like, it comes off authentic, yeah, but it's like her unfiltered thoughts on the situation that unfolded. So you can tell as she's going through it, she's becoming more and more bitter, I guess, toward the SuperMega guys. And like assuming things about their situation that she can't really know.
They had, since we left to Seattle and came back, had reinstalled the Ring camera for me and Rav. So while we were trying to go get our stuff, they decided that was a good idea to put a Ring camera in. So what, I guess we couldn't get our stuff while we were extremely down bad and homeless.
Okay, so this is where I like, you can tell like she's just getting like pretty mad about it, but like, I don't know how she knows they reinstalled the Ring camera for her. Like, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not convinced.
I understood so much when I learned that, because if not for that, I wouldn't know what the fuck he was doing the whole time. He was like, I'm busy. I don't want to talk. I'm doing stuff.
Yeah, so that was like a lot for her to throw at Matt fucking Watson right there. And I'm not going to cap. This is too much for her to say without proof. You know what I mean? Like, I 100% think Matt Watson was a fucking idiot in how he handled the Don thing, but just like dropping all this, like just offhandedly just dropping that he's like cheating on this woman and then he got with a new woman and he's cheating on her now. It's like, dude, where the fuck did you get this information? And I looked into it because I was like, is this fucking like public knowledge? The way that she dropped this is so casual. And it's not public knowledge that Matt Watson cheated on his girlfriend. It's apparently like alleged knowledge that Matt Watson's ex-girlfriend, the one that she's talking about him cheating on, cheated on him. So I don't even want to fucking go down this rabbit hole. But like, long story short, that was like kind of cap for her to drop that, I feel like. Especially when some of the top comments on her video are saying how, you know, Matt's a cheater and he's scum. I imagine in Matt's response, hopefully, that'll be kind of, you know, elaborated on. Like the idea that Matt Watson, like the whole time, the reason that he was finicky with you and being weird with you and that he was saying he was busy was just because he was like cheating on women or whatever the hell. Like, yeah, there might be some truth to the fact that he was like, you know, being a hedonistic idiot. But like, not clear. Like, especially I see shit like this and it's like his girlfriend's like abusing him is like the fucking allegation. So it's like there's probably a lot more going on. I don't know, bro. She gets into how they're fake nice by demonstrating examples where at Ryan's birthday party,
everyone in the SuperMega circle up to this point is there, except for Leighton. When he texted us that night and asked us what we're doing, we're at a party or like we're at Matt's house for a get-together or something, and Leighton was like, is it Ryan's birthday party? Because he knew it was his birthday. I mean, they worked together. As the rest of the party found out through text messages that Leighton found out about the party, especially Matt and Ryan, they were like, ugh, like they hate that guy. People started taking down the balloons, stuffed them in the closet when they found out Leighton was on the way.
So I didn't know this while I was streaming, but the Leighton fella actually made a 3-hour-long live stream where he went into his own grievances about SuperMega.
Matt Watson's a liar, and Ryan McGee's a liar, and Jim's a fucking liar. They're terrible people. I fucking hate those guys. They were really bad people to me.
I haven't watched it all, and if you want to, you can watch it yourself on his Twitch, but he's sided with Lex throughout all of this, and it seems like this is pretty much his conclusion. The majority of the claims made against SuperMega's handling of the Don situation were further corroborated by a guy named Rev, who was also working with SuperMega at the time. I was hanging out with Matt and Ryan the evening Lex informed them about the sexual assault incident over the phone. This was when Matt, Ryan, and I first learned of the incident, and the boys consulted me a number of times on the matter from that point onwards. Lex was a mutual friend of all the parties involved, and at the time, her and I were planning to move into a shared home together to ease the financial burden of living in LA. The SuperMega boys let me and Lex crash over at their office space while we looked for a spot to rent. The boys were still actively working with their then thumbnail artist Don at the time of the revelation. I had previously worked and hung out with Don too, as I used to occasionally hire him for commission work. One of the most alarming instances during this time for me personally was finding out that Matt and Ryan, after talking to both Lex and Don separately about the incident, urged the two of them to talk things out and reconcile. This is something Matt and Ryan at the same time said they told Lex, and Lex also confirmed this to me separately. A victim of sexual assault ought to be nurtured and protected in these kinds of moments and not be told to make up with their assaulter. This, in my opinion, is an example of the boys attempting to wash their hands of any responsibility pertaining to the incident, choosing instead to make themselves as uninvolved as possible. It is also, in my eyes, a failure to appropriately recognize the severity of the situation. Yeah, this is the whole thing where it's like SuperMega clearly did not want to get involved. The problem was they were literally in the middle of this shit because number one, the fucking thing actually happened at Matt Watson's house, and number two, the fucking guy was still living at the SuperMega complex. Anyway, worse yet, they further surrendered the responsibility of dealing with their employee to the victim by asking Lex whether they should fire Don or not, instead of taking matters into their own hands. For the record, this was also confirmed by all the parties involved. Again, the victim should not be charged with making such decisions. It is incumbent on the employer, whose employee sexually assaulted their friend, to make that call. This reads as another instance of Matt and Ryan attempting to hand over responsibility altogether, rather than stepping up to their professional and moral duties. One other event that disturbed me particularly was an exchange I had with Matt and Ryan when I confronted them about the two aforementioned points in person around that time. I recall the first words that came out of Matt's mouth were, well, you know, legally speaking, we don't have to do anything here. Which was certainly shocking. This is apparently something Matt also told Lex in a separate conversation prior, and is obviously not the sort of thing a well-adjusted, empathetic person would say. This is apparently something Matt also told Lex. Ryan didn't interject to correct or paraphrase anything at any point either, just to be clear. Throughout it all, it appeared the boys were operating in agreement with one another. It took Lex a lot of strength and courage to open up to them about her traumatic experience in the first place. Sure, Matt and Ryan aren't at fault for what Dawn did to Lex, but they are certainly responsible for the ways in which they dealt with the information disclosed to them, especially as it pertains to their professional associate. The truth of the matter is, we don't get to choose what happens to or around us, but it is up to us how we react to these things. From where I stood, it was clear that they didn't want anything to negatively affect their professional lives further, but their selfish inaction ended up affecting mine and Lex's work instead. Us keeping our silence on this matter has only benefited them and their brand, but they have yet to reciprocate this in any meaningful way. I don't like that wording because it's like, do they owe you something for being quiet? Do they owe you something for not saying any of this publicly? I don't know. If they want a distance from you, like, I don't think that they owe you anything, really. They owed you a better fucking, like, initial, way of handling things for sure, but anyway. Even though I told them both off about much of this last year, there's a part of me that hopes that these kinds of instances don't accurately reflect who Matt and Ryan really are. At the time, they were going through some stuff both personally and publicly, which may have greatly impacted the ways in which they dealt with everything that came up. Whatever the reason, though, it doesn't justify what they put Lex through during all of this, and it doesn't absolve them of accountability. What, in my view, Matt and Ryan should have done was fire Don upon concluding that he sexually assaulted Lex, and not allowed him to stay at their office the day Lex slated to move in, obviously. Just some basic decency would have gone a long way. Perhaps Matt and Ryan were paralyzed out of concern for the prospect of having more employee-related drama attached to their brand name, but I hold that virtue ought to supersede such concerns. There are always options available beyond utter silence and total ostracism, and yet sadly none appear to have been considered here. There's a number of ways to interpret this kind of thoughtlessness, but it's crucial to acknowledge that ultimately no conclusion will undo the damage that has already been dealt so far.
For a gotcha, it's not for like a woe is me. I'm just talking about stuff that happened to me because it's important to me to get this off my chest. I've been holding on to this weight for over a year for no reason. What loyalty do these people have to me that I need to be like, I need to protect them? What did they do for me? They let me stay at their place and then made me feel weird about it after they were like, hey, your assaulter's gonna be here when I got there. Like, I don't know. Then they word stuff like, I have to feel like I owe them something. I don't owe them anything. They weren't charging me rent. They said I could stay there. You know, if he didn't like me there, he could have done a lot of different things. He could have just opened his mouth and talk to me.
The allegations are the allegations. I laid them out. I can't really fucking add more than what has been laid out, right? Now, looking past the allegations to SuperMega's reaction, right? This is the kind of meat of, I guess, what needs to be talked about, right? Because in this situation, yeah, SuperMega fumbled the fucking ball, bro. Like, there's no denying that shit. Here's the thing. This is kind of, in my opinion, the way that there's two ways to interpret this, basically. Is like, Matt Watson and Ryan Magee are fucking idiots, kind of, and they just didn't really know how to handle the situation. And, like, Matt Watson and Ryan Magee were, like, actually actively conspiring to, like, keep this shit hidden and, like, really try to, maliciously oust this woman from their friend group, right? That's kind of the two camps you could fall into. I do think there's, like, some middle ground that I would probably land in, but, right. This is something that she kind of touches on. Again, she touches on so many things and it's hard to get through all of it, but like she kind of like explains in a way how SuperMega, the main guys like Ryan and fucking Matt, are kind of like fake nice, in a bit of a sense where it's like they were nice to her insofar as they were hoping that she wouldn't, make a big deal out of this. You know what I mean? Basically, she was getting invited to stuff formally, but like people were being distant to her. Like there was a very obvious like vibe change where it's like people don't fuck with her. And the whole comment about the magnum opus thing, I know there's no hard proof of that, but like if that's true, right? If Matt Watson, confirms that, that's kind of seeming like facts. Like his main priority was like the fucking brand, right? And it's one thing for the priority to be the brand because like you have employees that rely on you, but like this is an employee, right? This is someone who also relies on you, right? So yeah, it's not clear to me that it's coming from a selfless place at all. Here's the one thing I'll say. This is a very interesting thing for me because this is a fucking unfortunate situation. I don't get any pleasure from telling you any of this really. But the thing is that if I'm gonna go through allegations and like kind of like understand this as much as I guess I have, I want to pull something from it, right? I want to like learn from it or like at least have something to take away from it. And to me, I guess the main things I'm pulling from this is like, bro, as YouTubers, you're really like kind of like left to your own devices in terms of like how you handle employees and people you work with, right? Like there's not, a formal system in place where it's like, oh, this happens, so we go to the HR department, the HR department, figures it out. No, like it's literally you have to like understand these interpersonal things and like figure out how you can fucking, handle crisis basically between people. They'll be fine. Their business will move on. And if Don is guilty, nothing will happen. Should be different, but isn't. A chat will change nothing. Yeah. The only, I guess, solace, right, is like hopefully a change occurs, right, within SuperMega. You know what I mean? Like these guys fucking learned their lesson. Unfortunately, a little bit too fucking late. And it's, again, this isn't like, it is not something where it's like, oh my goodness, their careers are over. Like certainly not. There's a lot of people who are unhappy with them, right? And yeah, like Rev was saying, hopefully that ends up being for the best. There's one thing that I wanted to comment about, and it's this purity culture is effectively like putting the expectation on people that they are perfect, right? This is something that has kind of come into the limelight because of, I guess, cancel culture, right? So like there's a story that she tells in this fucking expose, and this is backed up by Rev. A bunch of people got invited to the SuperMega office for a party for Ryan, all right? Turned out that this Leighton fella who works with them was not invited. So when they found out at this party that Leighton was coming over, they were all like, oh, fuck, Leighton's coming, man. And they took the balloons and they put them in the fucking closet. We'll see if that is true, right? Because Matt Watson will make his video. He's announced he's going to, not maybe video, but he'll respond to it. We'll see what happens there. But like, assuming that's true, this is kind of indicative completely and utterly of a fake nice guy type of vibe, right? Where it's like, you can't just tell this guy to his face, like, yeah, we don't really want you at the party. Or you can't just like invite him, if you're worried or whatever. You have to like actively fucking hide and lie and bring all these people on this big lie. And so that's what I was saying, where it's like, they want this like purity culture type of thing, where it's like, oh, we're all just good guys being good bros and like, nothing's too big of a deal, it's all chill. But then when shit is actually not chill, they'll like super try to downplay it. And so, yeah, if you try to basically impose purity culture where it's like, everything's gotta be perfect, everything's gotta be okay, you might not get people who are actually like good guys and like, solid people to interact with. You might just get people who are like, better at masking their shitty behavior, right? Better at hiding the fact that they fucking dislike people or that they're trying to fuck people over, right? And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, where it's like, yeah, they're kind of just trying to like hide a lot of this shit and like pretend like it's all chill. Yeah, getting people to hide the fact that they're shitty doesn't make them less shitty, right? They seem conflict avoidant, but they do it in a slimy way. That's kind of what I'm saying, where it's like, yeah, you like, there's a point where you're being nice by not confronting people, and then there's a point where you're like just fucking with people by not confronting them, right? Like not just being direct. And again, when it comes to like, are they malicious or are they maliciously, whatever, self-interested, or are they just idiots? Again, I'm like kind of halfway down the middle. Basically, the main charges that are going against SuperMega is like, they're basically self-centered and self-preserving, like way more prioritizing their brand than they are the safety, and the basically the comfort of their employees and people who work with them, right? On those charges, I think she pretty soundly fucking, kind of made that clear. In terms of them being malicious or not, I don't think like, I don't think that, I don't know. I don't think there's enough to show they're malicious. Again, I was talking about how it's like, are they just really stupid fucking dumbasses who really are like inconsiderate, or are they like malicious, like complete, you know, Machiavellians, like trying to hide this as best they can and like completely isolate her? I do feel like it is one of those things where like these guys are just fucking amateurs, bro. Like these are YouTubers who are known for being goofy idiots, and guess what? In reality, they are goofy idiots who don't really know how to operate, you know, a business that treats their employees with fucking respect, it sounds like, right? At least on a basic level. Yeah, they let them live places, but like, I guess like they let them crash at the Megaplex or whatever. But in terms of like actually fucking, you know, looking out for people, it seems like, nah, that's not the case. So I think that's like a super fucking valid and like solid criticism to levy at them. I imagine in what Matt Watson's response, he will probably take ownership of that. I would fucking hope, because I don't see a way where it's like, oh, we're misunderstanding there. Like Matt Watson knowing he's basically setting her up to go to the same place with the guy that fucking, you know, allegedly assaulted her. That's crazy. Why was not more of an effort made to keep these two as far apart as possible? It's facts. Matt and Ryan were the bosses and had the ability to do so, but they had Don come to the office Lex was living in. It's facts. Look, even if, okay, here's the devil's advocate I can make. These allegations, you hear about them, right? She tells you, basically, this guy assaulted me. You are living with this guy and you work with this guy. I get how you would have conversations with the guy and like try and parse like what the fuck happened from his perspective, right? Just because you don't want to, you know, I guess like ruin his life too fast or whatever. But the thing that I don't get is like, you have these conversations, sure, yeah, but like then you fucking actually send this guy to the same place you're sending the other person. It's literally like a mental disconnect where they just clearly did not realize how like actually fucking, you know, serious this was. Anyway, long story short, SuperMega, you gotta hire an HR department, bro, for real, because you guys don't know how to fucking handle employees. It seems kind of obvious. One of my formative experiences of SuperMega is Matt Watson getting absolutely trashed on Cold Ones.
Yes, I slipped on PewDiePie.
This happens at Joe Rogan, right?
Maybe you could. We are across from a school. What is? You guys are so fucked. This has been the most intoxicating episode we've ever had, man. I never thought I'd say that I'm proud of you to have not done the worst.
I'd like to say that
Not the whiteboard, bro. That's where we count our stocks in Bitcoin, you idiot. Oh, these titties are... This is not me, man. I'm going ahead of that box.
I'm guessing it's done.
All right, let me go. Oh, no, Matt.
Okay, now it's done.
I'm definitely heading out, man.
I'm a little pissed.
So yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, they fuck. Like maybe he's playing it up. But then this woman's basically saying like, yeah, no, Matt's like an alcoholic and he's like pretty reckless and a dumb fuck when he's drunk. Anyway, and then obviously, you know, after all of that, maybe you guys will get some fucking catharsis from watching Matt get the fucking shit pummeled out of him real quick. Let's see. Let's just watch him get knocked out real quick. Damn, bro, he really took this, man. That's wild. Right in the fucking mouth. Sheesh. Whatever.
Hey, 2 uncle.